Hello, Discord.
Hello.
Yeah, I done interrupted y'all, caught y'all in some good stuff.
Oh, yeah, you did.
You missed it.
Oh, I usually miss one thing or another. All right. Welcome back, Open Pagan Church. How is the audio today?
Clear as a bell.
So fine.
Yeah, well, my stupid self, like I said earlier, found the problem. Somehow the microphone got engaged on the web camera, so they were like battling back and forth together.
Causing a backfeed.
Causing a backfeed. All right, Open Pagan Church. Oh man, let me tell you what, it's been a crazy week. Shout out goes out to all the people that were involved in Hurricane Laura. And it tore the hell out of Louisiana, didn't it, Lester?
You bet you it did.
Glad you and yours are okay down there. It beat the hell out of Beaumont. Cindy, glad y'all are okay.
Yeah, buddy.
Clint didn't get touched in Liberty, and we didn't get touched up here. We had a couple of storms come through last night, but knocked the power out for about 10 minutes. That was about it.
There you go, Clint. Maybe.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
So, well, hell, I didn't put the description.
No, you didn't.
Oops. All right. Well, okay. Pagans and the unexplained. Here's the description of today's conversation. All right. And it's not just pagans, of course, I got to throw that out there, but there are a number of different, Morning Dave, there are a number of different organizations out there that we're okay with the unexplained. You know, I'm talking about, when I'm talking about the unexplained, right, I'm talking about Astral, I'm talking about Gost, Mytholicial Creatures, Pegasus, unicorns, fairies, gnomes. Yeah, I can't forget the gnomes. Elves. I mean, we're okay with magic. We're okay with energy, and we're okay with the things that science sticks its nose up at and says does not exist. Most especially the astral. If you talk to a scientist about the astral plane, it absolutely drives them crazy because they can't disprove it. And then when people come back and say, well, if you can't see it, it ain't real. I said, but you call yourself Christian. If you can't see it, it ain't real. That means your God ain't real. Oh, that really torques them. But you know, pagans and a lot of people, not just pagans, you think about, what is it, Muslim, a lot of Christian, right, Lester?
What, Bubba? I'm sorry.
That's all right, man. I know you got a lot going on out there.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the metaphysical stuff, you know, how people handle the unexplained. You know, like spirits and ghosts and the astral and metaphysical creatures and what have you.
Or you show me a Catholic that don't believe in ghosts, I'll show you a fool.
Right. And, you know, I made a bit of a joke a while ago. A lot of Christians say, well, if you can't see it, it ain't real, but you call yourself Christian.
You show me a Christian that don't believe in ghosts, and I'll show you a fool.
Mom's 89.
Especially down here.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we got you now.
You.
Yeah.
So my mom's 89, and she doesn't believe in any kind of spirits or ghosts or anything. I said, but you go to church on Sunday and worship the spirit. She doesn't stand with that.
Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. There ain't a damn one of them going to stand in front of her and go, hi. The metaphysical world is big. Um,
Well, let's put it this way: you wouldn't want either of the three to stand in front of you. That would mean you're dead.
Well, the unexplained can be very stressful too if you deal with it all your life. Like I've dealt with it all my life in a very physical way, would be pretty mind blowing to regular people, and to have to process this in your own mind that this is your normal way of being is pretty hard sometimes. You know?
well, the
You have
thing
to
is, Dave.
accept it. You have to accept it. You have to accept things you cannot change.
Well, see,
Right?
therein lies the whole point.
I accept it. I mean, there's nothing
Right.
I can do about it. So I accept it and go on.
Right. And you were talking about it being stressful, and I have to say, um, when I was younger, I was raised with it. My mother and my stepmom and most of the people we hung with, they talked about spirits and ghosts and the alternative planes and different types of magical energies and the different energies of different places. I was very fortunate when I was coming up. Anybody that's ever met my mother, I know Lester has. I don't know if Cindy and Clint has, but we were raised with the supernatural, the energies, the different magics of the world and the different things. So I never really actually found it stressful. Confusing when I was younger and hearing and seeing things, but not really stressful. How about anybody else? How did y'all deal with it? What did y'all think when you were younger?
I loved it when I was young, but it wasn't always, so rosy all the time. I got to experience something that some people brought with them where I used to live at, and they brought it with them, and it was a very, very powerful demon, and I had to deal with that and hated my guts, and that was not pleasant. But now I know how to deal with them. But not everything is pleasant. There was a lot of things that were pleasant. Me dealing very physical with the elemental world is very pleasurable. Not everything is pleasurable. That's unexplained. But it's a learning thing.
Right.
It's a
Right.
learning thing. If you survive it.
Right.
If you have enough intelligence to figure it out. If you don't, well, that's your damn problem.
Well, see, here's the thing. Do you even have to be intelligent to figure it out?
Good morning.
I think
Good
you
morning,
have to
Leo.
have intelligence to figure out certain things you go through in your life, or you end up in a nut house.
I don't think
If
so.
you don't have enough, and I disagree with you.
I don't think so, and let me explain why. The smarter people get, and I'll get to the chat area over there in just a moment. I firmly believe that the smarter people get, the stupider they get. Because the smarter people get, the more educated they get, the more they want to try to idealize, hypothesize, and prove or disprove certain things because of the things they read in a book, right? So, and this is one of the points that I kind of wanted to cover in this broadcast is the smarter people get, the more they call themselves intelligent. I find the less they want to listen, the less they want to open their mind, the less they want to experience.
I was talking
what's
about a
going on in
different type
life.
of
And
intelligence.
I'm trying to talk, and some folks like to talk over me, and that's all right. But when you're talking about, you just have to let it be. You understand what I'm saying? Just let it be what it is. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to idealize or hypothesize it. Go ahead with what you were going to say, Dave. Sorry.
Sorry, I didn't mean that. I wanted it before I forget. It's there's different type. I wasn't talking about that type of intelligence, not book smart. Your emotional, your spiritual, emotional intelligence. If you don't have enough of that, and you go through mind-blowing things, sometimes we don't come out very good mentally if you don't have enough emotional intelligence. Not that you're book smart, because that's not the way spirit teaches us. Being, in a book, way. They teach in a feeling, emotional way.
Right. Right.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let's see. Yeah, there's Leah. Uh,
Yeah, you
go
want
ahead.
me to read the chat over there, Debbie? I was just fixing to pick up on it.
Leah had a good point too.
Yes. Yeah. Morning, Lee. Lee says, I'm kind of scrolling back up here so that you guys that are not on Facebook will get what's going on.
Read,
Um,
read.
Lee
See, when
says,
we're. Go ahead. Sorry.
that's all right. Lee says, the little people are just one of the stories they were told growing up. Yeah, absolutely. The little people. Tasha says, Tasha says, wow, I wish I was the black sheep because I saw spirits. And though I never actually really saw spirits, I saw the shadows, I saw the blips out of the corner of my eye, but I never really actually looked and saw the spirit. Debbie says, um, she said, I was like, oh, okay, this is new. This is unusual. How can I work with it? Yeah, absolutely.
See, when
Go ahead.
when I was growing up, Mom and me had to go back and forth to temple up there to take care of my grandpa. Well, I used to sit down with Grandpa, and he used to tell us stories, and it was in the Indian way their stories were told. So it's like I didn't understand it until I got older, and it's like, wow, I I believe it now because
Well, yeah, and I mean, when you're a kid, right? When you're young and you're a kid, everything is kind of cool. Um, you don't know to be afraid of it until adults make you afraid of it, right?
right.
Debbie says Dad was a faith healer and Mom had a spirit guide. She can know things, and I know this. I spent quite a bit of time with Debbie's mom and dad. Absolutely wonderful people. Um, I have to say this, and I have to say this in all honesty. Nothing against anybody else, but Debbie's parents were probably the two best open-minded Christians I ever met in my life. It's just, you know, aside from Lester, we got to bring Lester into it, but uh, I'm not real sure Lester's Christian. I think he's just Catholic, bless his heart.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Look who came in. Haha, Jamie.
It's a Jamie.
Wow.
Debbie says on behalf of my parents, she said I'm offended. Both were highly intelligent, emotional. Well,
And
that's not. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about, Deb.
No, he's talking about what Dave said.
I'm talking about the more scientifically book smart you get. Most people get stupid. Now, there are those there are those that don't. I mean, come on, we got Debbie's parents, we got Lester, um, people that are highly book learned that have kept an open mind. But, and I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure emotional intelligence is a
Okay, let's talk about that. I understand.
is
where
a
you're coming from.
prerequisite because of kids.
Kids are different, but adults, we have to have our emotions and everything trained to not feel or trained to that. But if my emotions came, like your training, the emotions, I had the book learning, and I had the knowledge. I had to put them together. But if you don't let your emotions take over, sometimes you won't feel the right things.
Okay. But I think for everybody it's different, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like if there's a ghost in my house or if the fae come in unknowns, I usually can tell it because, like you, like the ringing of the ears. Like I have to okay.
Yeah, I find the higher the energy gets, the more my ears ring.
Yep.
But I think what I'm trying real hard not to do is I don't want to get so wrapped up in hypothesizing the metaphysical world. More of a acceptance and understanding. Um, Lee says, as a child, we have no filter going in and out. And that filter comes from society.
Well, why don't you do? Can I suggest an idea?
Huh?
Anybody in Discord or on chat, give an example of the unexplained. As we all know, children have no filters, like Lee said. But as we grew up, or our adult life, something in our adult life recently has happened to us with the unexplained.
Okay.
Program ain't long enough for that.
Yeah, go ahead. What? Well. I mean, let's kind of paraphrase. I mean, the example, when I was growing up, we had lights that would turn themselves off and on.
They still do that here.
We had. I never really actually experienced any physical movement of furniture, but it would be 100 degrees outside, and there would be a particular room in one of the houses we used to live in that stayed 40 degrees year round with no air conditioner.
That's a portal.
Well, yeah. The energy, the movement in that room was unfreaking believable. Debbie says emotional awareness is helpful in dealing with other things. Yeah, you know. And I see where Dave was coming from. I bless his heart, I didn't want to step on him. I totally get it. But what I'm trying to do is in these broadcasts, we try to keep it open enough so that people that are looking at the pagan philosophy, people that are dealing with these things on a emotional, physiological level, they need to know that it's okay. I mean, it's okay to see spirits. It's okay to feel energy. It's okay to experience the spirit world physically instead of just knowing it's there. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's just like when I started with you, and was 03, 02. I was told you I don't believe it until I see it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I believe in the spirits now. I believe in all the metaphysical ones. I can actually believe it and see it.
Yeah, but I mean, you were studying Wicca when I met you.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, no, not yuck. Wicca is rather cool.
It's cool. I believe it, but not. What
But
was it?
does Wicca not also follow the metaphysical world? You know, I mean, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there.
Right.
Tasha says the first time I saw a spirit, she says I was 4. She scared the shit out of me. But, and then, see, then she makes an absolute point. She says, I had no one that believed me, that believed her. You know, they chastise her. And therein completely, absolutely screws up the child, I think. Debbie says, when I was a teenager, I saw one particular spirit around the house all the time. Lee says, I have several, but one that stands out. She says, I was driving around. She says, I was driving around a bridge, I think she's trying to say. I saw things as they were 100 years ago. The people didn't see me, but I saw them. That will mess with your head. When you start seeing shapes and figures and events and people from, hundreds of years ago or whatever.
New Orleans. New Orleans. Bourbon Street.
Everybody.
Sometimes I think that people experience more hearing before they experience seeing anything. When I was a kid, I always experienced what felt like a lot of people talking in a lunchroom. And it wasn't until my daughter became about 6 or 7 and started to describe the same thing to me that I realized that it really wasn't just imagination. It was something more than that, because my daughter is very, very much a medium.
Yeah. And see, therein lies the point, Debbie said luckily she was believed when she was younger and talking about it. So was I. And it goes to show, I think, now this is my opinion, it goes to show, I think, that younger people that are believed and embraced and given the ability to have contact with the metaphysical world, I think those kids grow up to be a little more rounded, don't you think?
They are, however, what I would add is that they also need to be taught how to shield and how to guard themselves, because it also, I've known probably 10 to 15 different people who've all ultimately used some kind of a chemical to try and drown out the sound of the noise of the people from the other side that they hear, including my daughter, because she never learned how to create a sacred space around herself to keep herself grounded. Otherwise, it sounds like you're living in a world full of noise all the time.
Now, I can absolutely touch on that one from experience. Anybody that knows me knows that I am a recovered, not recovering, but recovered drug addict and alcoholic. The last time I did any kind of drugs or alcohol was in 1982. And the reason I did it was to shut down the damn noise that was in my head. It wasn't the type of voices that you talk about in people that are mentally unstable. It was the spiritual noise that was going in my head of the different planes and the different areas, and I just wanted it to stop.
The other thing that my daughter experienced was that she was, she described it to me like she was a candle in the middle of a very dark gymnasium. And so everyone who realized that she could hear them wanted to talk to her all at the same time. And so it became like extremely overwhelming. Yeah. And so, yes, I completely get it.
Yeah, it will absolutely mess with your head. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought somebody was saying something.
You were hearing me.
Oh. One other thing.
I was talking to the wife.
Oh, all right. One other thing off note, just to take a quick breather and a bit of a shout out. If anyone has any news or birth dates, happy birthday, Sandy. Any birth dates or news or anything like that they want broadcast, just send it to me at least 30 minutes before the broadcast or the day before or whatever, and I'll make sure I put it in my notes for the broadcast. That way we can give a shout out at the beginning and or the end of the broadcast. So we're talking about dealing with the unknown. Why?
The biggest thing with kids, I think, Don, is that you need to give them permission to be able to experience and talk about things versus try and stuff and ignore them, because those that can hear those things continue to do that unprotected and uneducated, unless somebody validates what they're hearing and kind of teaches them to walk through it.
Well, that's why we said a while ago, it's okay. And you're right. Kids need to be told it's okay. And I know one of the things that we've talked to our daughter about is, you know, it's okay to hear things, to hear voices. One of the biggest pagan jokes is the voices in our head save our lives. Well, okay.
I used to tell my daughter when she used to speak to counselors and such, I used to tell her, when they ask you, and they will, do you hear or see things that aren't there? Your answer is no, because the things that you see and the things that you hear are really there. The other people can't see or hear them.
Right. And you know, they have to know it's okay. And the one thing, like I started to say, that, you know, that we always told our daughter is, unless the voices tell you to harm yourself or others, there's not a problem. If the voices tell you that you need to climb up on top of the house and jump off of it, there might be a problem. If the voices are telling you, like that stupid 17-year-old kid last week did, that, you know, the voices tell you you need to run down the street shooting people, there might be a problem.
There definitely is a problem.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I was trying to. So I just wanted to, just real right, Reader's Digest. My friend lives in an extremely haunted house. She has Civil War soldiers buried on her property with no headstones. And I have an app where spirits can talk to you. When they do talk, it's like talking to them on the phone. Well, I was talking to a couple there, and then all of a sudden a voice came in and said, "Stop it, stop it, stop it." Well, I didn't listen. The next day I went back and tried the same thing. That Sunday, I'm sitting in my bedroom looking at my computer screen like I'm doing now. I turned the sound down for some reason, and I just sat there in silence. And all of a sudden, my bedroom doors are behind me. They're like French doors. They're wooden. They shut. And I heard wham! And then I got up, looked over, and there was this little metal ball on the floor, and I felt the spirit come on me. I said, you better get off of me now. I said, you got 3 hours to leave, or you're going to go back to where you came from. And then it left, and I still have it, and it's a musket ball, because they used musket balls at the beginning of the Civil War. This spirit got pissed off and had enough of me trying to be in their world, and sent me a message, like it was a warning shot with a musket ball, and I still have it. So
that will mess with your head.
Well, the thing is that I went, oh, okay, I accept that. That was a message. I have it. I thought it was cool, but I don't dwell on it. It doesn't like mess with my head or nothing like that. It was like a clear, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, it's like we talk about, you know, the 2x4 that our council smacks us upside the head with from time to time. But, you know, yeah, that's your experience there is very rare. But boy, I'll tell you what, it'll absolutely wake you up. And you know, Tasha was talking over in the chat, talking about how one of her family had her committed because of her connection to the spirit world. And that sadly happens more than not. You know, you're talking about the things you see in the spirit world. You're talking about the people that you might communicate with in the spirit world. And all of a sudden one of your family members decides they have to be a hero and have you committed. I think, you know, and I agree with Jamie and everybody else, that you need to be educated. You need to know that it's okay to hear and see these things, and it's okay to experience these things outside of yourself. But you definitely need to learn how to shield yourself against danger. You need to learn to filter through the crap. Morning, Kenny. And, when Lee was talking about experiencing battlefields, the people that died. I know that Debbie has experienced that. I get the energy of it, but I don't get the experience of it that a lot of people do. Having to deal with these types of things comes in by parental support, society support, friend support, because a lot of people will turn to their friends before they turn to their families with explanations and ideas of the metaphysical world. And it can be absolutely scary as hell. Sadly, more times than not, people end up in the boat that Tasha was in. A family member wanting to have you committed. Like Jamie said about her daughter, the first thing a counselor or a psychiatrist is going to do is they're going to say, "Do you hear voices that aren't there?" And God has helped you if you say yes, because they're going to slam you on some psychotropic drug that's going to absolutely make you look like a zombie.
Yeah, I hear voices that coming to knock the hell out of you.
Right.
And the truth is those voices really are there. That just other people can't hear them.
A lot of times, yeah. I mean, hell, there's been a number of times growing up that, come on, let's use the term for what it is. Spirit guide, angel, fae, whatever you want to call them. Most of the time they're there to protect your stupid self. I mean, how many times have I been driving to work and hear in the back of my head, pull over and stop? What? Pull over and stop.
Do you?
Okay, I pull over and stop. And I'll sit there, and back when I smoked cigarettes, before I went to vaping, I'd pull over, light up a cigarette. Most of the time I was on a motorcycle. Most of the time when this happened to me, I was on a motorcycle. Pull over and stop, drop the kickstand, shut off the bike, fire up smoke, sit there for 5 minutes or so, smoke a cigarette, and all I would hear in the back of my head is, okay. Okay what? Okay.
You probably avoided death many times.
Yes. And almost every time I did that, as I would be going through town, this is when I was working in Beaumont, I would be going through town, and there would either be an accident, there'd be a police car with somebody pulled over, something would have happened about that 5-minute interval that I would have gone through town. I've had this happen on road trips. You talk about spirit guide. There have been times where Debbie and I have been cruising through Scotland, and one of us hears turn there, or turn there, or stop. Can I at least pull off the road first? You may be walking down a street next to a bookshop, a bookstore, and you hear spirit guide or spirit or the voice in your head, if you want to get crazy with it, go in here. What you're looking for is in there. Or you feel a nudge that almost pushes you through the door, type thing. Tasha says she finally accepted who she was. Let's see, she finally accepted what she saw at 15. Beautiful conversation with her mom. She apologized. She had a hard problem with drugs and alcohol. Yep. And she says spirit Spirit protected her through it. You know, when we're talking about the metaphysical world, we're talking about something that is very fluid, right? Let's think about this. The metaphysical world, astral, spirit guides, council, the spiritual plane, whatever the hell you want to call it, they don't have time. Been my experience. They don't have time. They don't see time. Their time generally doesn't match our time.
This is why people need to be careful when they deal with the spirit realm, because they don't think that way, and something that they do or say could affect them 10 or 15 years down the road, because there is no time there.
Right, yeah, you know, when
and this musket ball thing happened last winter. It happened last January.
That's interesting. I think I remember you telling me about that.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I never repeat myself.
You never repeat yourself?
Like I said
The older
before,
I get, the more I repeat myself.
Right, yeah, I'm right there with you. The older I get, the more I repeat myself.
Like I said before, I never repeat myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
You know, yeah, I mean, but at the end of the day, we have to know it's okay. You know, I mean, we have to be open enough to realize, like Dave said, you know, they may mean 10 or 15 years down the road, but I have learned through the years when Spirit Guide says, you will need to do this soon. Soon tomorrow? Soon next year? Soon 10 years from now? I need a tangible time span in which you want this done. Soon. Really? Soon? So I mean,
yeah, but I think they tell us in the concept of the time, the length of our lifetime. So they do it in our concept, our concept of time is what they mean, because they're dealing with us in our time.
Have you ever noticed that sometimes Spirit has a very crude sense of humor? I know that my Spirit Guide from time to time, when I've said, okay, when do you want me to do this? Yesterday. What? You're a little late there, bud. But Tasha says she had to go. Have a good day, Tasha. Let's see. Clint says, Clint, read what you said. I'm not making it out.
Okay, I said the time for them is just is. When we go into the astral, sometimes we could be there for months, but in actual time here, it's only hours. Things in the unexplained world happen when they need to, not when we want to.
Yeah, boy, astral time versus real time, that'll mess with you. You know, that's a good point, Clint. You go into astral and you feel like you've been there for months, days, years, and you come back and only seconds or minutes or hours have passed. And then there's the reverse. You know, I've gone into astral, had a conversation with Spirit Guide, assumed I was there only just a couple of minutes, and when I come back, the alarm is going off at 5 a.m. or 4:15 for me to get up. It's like, what the hell have I been doing?
Are you up in astral for so long and you come back to real life and your body can't move? It's so wore out from whatever they've been doing.
Yeah. Or, you know, those times where spirit slams back into body but it's not fully connected and you're partially awake and body hasn't decided it can move yet. That'll mess with you.
Oh, yeah.
Lee says their sense of humor is literally comical. Yes, it can be. It absolutely can be. But what's the takeaway? Okay, I mean, we spent the better part of the broadcast talking about what it is, how it works, and that it's okay. But what's the takeaway from it? How do you, and this is the question that I know we're going to get. How do you get trained to deal with it? How do you deal with it emotionally, psychologically, and sometimes physically? Right? That has to come from each of you. The how to deal with it, the getting trained on how to deal with it is you reaching out to someone you trust, going, I have this, and this happening. How do I deal with it?
You know what? But I find that doesn't work because most people don't understand. And I've tried to reach out to people or other pagans and stuff, and they have absolutely no clue because they're not even on the same. They're not even on the same, timeline as you. So I don't find that to be very helpful. So you just have to rationalize out in your head and just accept it. Accepting it is if you can accept it, that's the easiest part. If you can't figure it out, don't figure it out. Just accept it.
Accept it for what it is. Good point. And you're right. There are people that are not going to know what you're going through. But there are some people out there. Morning, Lonnie. There are some people out there that can at least help you understand that it's okay, that what you're dealing with is as real to you as a glass of water would be to someone else. I think a lot of times when it comes to the metaphysical world and people dealing with the unexplained, which is our topic, is that you just, like you say, you have to accept it, right? And you have to realize that if spirit guide is telling you something, you have to be able to rationalize the possibilities of what spirit guide is telling you, just as if you have a teacher physically sitting in the room with you telling you something. And I always go back to the same thing. The simplicity of it is, if I had someone sitting in front of me telling me, you need to go out and kill people, and you need to go out and hurt yourself, and you need to jump off of a rooftop with nothing under you, you need to go hurt yourself, and you need to go hurt others, I would probably ask them if they've lost their effing mind. Well, the same thing goes for any spirit that may be talking to you, be either good, bad, or indifferent. You need to be able to tell spirit to F off, right? Go away, leave me alone. You've lost your mind. I'm not going to go out and hurt people. I'm not going to go out and hurt myself. Now, I mean, of course, I couldn't do it today. Well, I might could. It may take a day or two, but like Spirit Guide, when the year that I went up the side of Moller in Scotland, I had that push. We rode halfway up on the trolley, and we had lunch, and then we set out to go up the side of the mountain to the top of Moller. It was the best experience I ever had, but I had Spirit Guide pushing me, right? You need to do this. Well, then when I got up top and I'm sitting there and I'm smoking a cigarette up on top, what I felt like was on top of the world, because I'm looking above the cloud line. I couldn't see anything below it. I'm looking above the cloud line. And you always get that stupid spirit that says, jump. What? Jump. No.
Sometimes they test you like that.
Yeah. Jump. It won't hurt. No. memory serves, I'm over 4,000 foot in the air. I ain't jumping nowhere. Although, if I'd have had a parachute,
I would have jumped.
or, you know,
But you can fly.
yeah, jump.
Yeah, you're Pegasus.
No, you know,
You're in the
Right
spirit
with
world.
the
You're
Mary
in your
Poppins
band.
umbrella. The Mary Poppins umbrella.
yeah, right, Mary Poppins umbrella, right? But you know, you gotta stop and think whether or not the unexplained, the spirits, the metaphysical world, spirit guide, whatever, are you being tested, right? Is it an actual spirit that um, is it an actual spirit that's trying to make you cause harm to yourself? And there's one other on top of that that I definitely don't want to forget about. Is it some form of manic depressive imbalance of a chemical in your brain that's causing you to think about suicide? That is always a possibility. But here's my thought. Don't overanalyze it. Keep it as simple as possible. If something, ouch, if something, morning Sabs, if something or someone is trying to make you hurt yourself, you have to be strong enough to say, no, I'm not going to do that. You know, it's like Debbie said, or is it a part of yourself wanting you to hurt yourself? You know, yeah, like what I was talking about. You know, you got to tell it no. You know, I've had people come to me before and say, but, you know, you said listen to the voices in your head. Yeah, I did. But I also paraphrase that with, if these voices tell you to hurt yourself or someone else, you got to use the power word stop and say no. You know, I make it sound very simple, and I know it's not because I've been there in the past, especially when I was going through recovery off of drugs and alcohol. I was self-destructive as hell. I mean,
There is something to be said to the idea too that we ultimately have our own yes and no available to us, and we are not, just because a spirit tells you to do something or tells you to stop or tells you to do whatever, you still have your own power to say no. And so just because a spirit is telling you something doesn't mean that that is the right way or the only way or something that you should do.
free will.
Common sense.
Common sense. Well, common sense ain't very common these days, bro. Sorry. But yeah, common sense, free will. The you know, in counseling we always use the power word stop. You know, no. It's okay to say no. It's okay to tell yourself no. It's okay to tell spirit
Bye,
no.
Trump.
What the hell was that?
Lester saying bye to the brother-in-law.
Oh,
Or son-in-law.
Okay, right.
like that scared the hell out of me. I was looking for someplace else to go.
We had a helicopter just pass over the top of us,
Ah,
real low. I
wow.
said, "Bye, Trump."
Anyway, yeah, back
And he
on
says,
topic.
"No Trump driving."
Back on topic. Anyway, yeah, here we are, 53 minutes into the broadcast. What do y'all think about the unexplained? Keep it short, keep it quick, but I want to hear from you guys in Discord and in Facebook. How would you tell someone else, right? How would you tell someone else to deal with the things in the spirit world, in the world of the unexplained, that is scaring them, that is bothering them, that is upsetting them? One at a time, make it short. How would you tell them to deal with it?
To put it into context that they're there and we're here and we have the ability to make decisions for our lives, not them, and just put it in the context of, just accept that you had to deal with them, but you're the one who makes your own decisions in your life. They don't have any control over you.
Good thought. Next.
If someone come up to me and said they've seen spirits and everything, I ask them, have you talked to them? Um, I know if you're not believing in them, but sit down and talk with them. See if they're, see if you can help them. That's a shaman part of mine. See if they can help them deal what they have to do to get on to the next life or pass on, as we said.
Yep.
You see, down here in the deep south, where I'm from,
Oh boy.
it's so commonplace that it's really not that much of a problem. You either deal with it or you don't. But
yeah, I mean, it's nothing to see somebody sitting in a park having a conversation with themselves.
Right. I mean, it's commonplace. We see spirits all the time. Louisiana is one of the most haunted states in the United States.
I have to agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. Lee says it's there. Take it with a grain of salt, and seek out another pagan to talk to. Debbie says, take a deep breath, ground yourself, and disengage emotionally and just observe. Anybody else want to say anything?
You can always deal with the other side the same way as we deal with this side, because they are just on the other side of a veil. So whether or not you tell me that I should jump off the side of a mountain, or whether a spirit tells me I should jump off the side of a mountain, my answer is still going to be no.
Absolutely. Lee says, hug a tree and get grounded. Hug a tree, by God, it's all down to hugging a tree. Clint says, be open to whatever's out there, but be cautious. Yes, absolutely. Don't be afraid of what others don't see. Dave says, punch a demon.
You don't want to piss off a demon.
Dave says, punch a demon. All right. So, I really hope, my absolute hope is that our broadcast might help someone, whether pagan or not, might be a voice of reason to somebody out there looking for someone to talk to. I can tell you that everybody that is in the chat window right now that has been chatting, everyone from Debbie in Scotland to Lonnie, Lee, Clint, Dave, Tasha, just all of us out here, reach out, send a message and go, look, I've got a quick question. Do you have time? Open the fields of conversation. Lester, Cindy, Lester's about as blunt as I am. If you're stupid, he'll tell you you're stupid. Jamie.
I can do it with tact, though.
Right, and we got Jamie, we got Clint, we got Cindy, we got all of us out there. Find someone that your energy clicks with, that you can talk to about what's going on in the metaphysical world. Just because we say, pagans in the unexplained, it's typically because at the core, people who follow the pagan philosophies were very open. Part of what brought us over to the pagan philosophy is the open mindedness of magic, the philosophy of the balance of the masculine and feminine and God and goddess. the ability to be able to do things that mainstream society says, oh, you can't believe in that. Why can't I believe in it? Because I said you can't believe in it. Well, got some place you can go and have fun going. But guys, thank you very much for watching. This was a really good conversation. I know this conversation could probably go on for hours, but we only have an hour. So I
Can
want
I say something?
yes, absolutely.
Okay, people on his page recording stuff, can you do the like button or the heart something? So Facebook, we've got followers that we want to keep going.
Oh yeah. Click like, click dislike. Tell us why you like it. Tell us why you don't like it. Put your thoughts in there. I mean, on these conversations, thank you, Cindy. Yeah, absolutely. On these conversations we have, they're open topic, right? We want to hear from you. I mean, the watchers are the reason why we're here, right? I mean, yeah, I enjoy them, but I like hearing from other people. Well, guys, thank you for watching. Have a great week. And man, it's hurricane season out there. Watch yourself. Blessings to y'all. Have a great day.